So welcome back. So I have moved my squid model from the tutorial. I've moved it into the the render scene that we've made. So let's just keep the eyes in the model itself. I think I initially broke it up in the main scene, but we can just keep it like this and just do the assignments with the material sub. So let's dive in here, copy the out node, and then let's make another render node for our squid. I always like to do these separate render nodes, just so we have it all nice and organized. Let's make this one green. We haven't done that yet. All right, let's go in there. RNDR underscore squid. Object merge it in like that. And then into this object. Okay, so now we need to sort of set the scale for this thing, because it's obviously going to be bigger than we made it, because right now it's only about 1 meter high. I think in the final scene that I have it's about 10 meters. But let's just have a look at our rock. Let's say that this rock is going to be the size that we're going to be working on. So we can use this rock to sort of give this thing its size. So let's just do those transformations inside of here. We could also do it on object level, but I ended up transforming him inside of the squid because I wanted to animate some noises through him in the scene. So I'm just gonna do. Well, by the way, for this shading scene, we could as well also just scale him up here. I guess it doesn't matter that much. Now let's just scale him up over here. Right, transform. Let's ghost our rock. And let's scale it up a little bit until we think that it's a good scale. Probably something like this, maybe? Yeah, I guess so. All right, so let's just start shading them at almost 7 meters in size. So quite a large squiddy boy. All right, so let's just take our camera. Let's just move our camera so it sort of fits the squid thing here. Let's change the resolution, maybe just a square resolution. All right, something like this. Let's make a new ROP just to try out our thing. And also I'm doing this so in the final file that you can download, you'll have all of this separately. Okay, let's call it squid. Let's put in our render squid. Let's make it green. And let's use the sunlight like that we already have, probably, right? What direction is it in? Let's see what it looks like, because the sunlight is quite bright, so that might be good for shading. All right, let's start assigning some materials, and then let's build our shaders. So I guess let's go in here. Let's make a material sub. Go into our materials. Which material was this? This was that was the seaweed. Let's name it seaweed before we lose track. All right. Or was this we already have a seaweed. Then I have no idea. Let's remove it. Redshift material builder. Call it squid main. We also need something for his little knobs that he has. So I guess call it squid knobs. And call it squid eyes. All right. Okay, so something like that. So let's assign some materials. I'm gonna assign 3 materials. So let's first do squid main, just on the entire thing. Let's do the knobs. Put those on the knobs. We need something on the eyes, and I see I don't have a group for the eyes yet. Let's make a group for the eyes. Let's go into our, where is it? Where is our squid? There is our squid. So these are the eyes. Let's make a group. Eyes. Right. So then we can go into our squid and select eyes and put the eyes on there. All right. Now let's assign some base materials just in here so we have something to look at when we start shading. Let's just assign a material. Let's assign another material. And do another material. Okay, that's looking fine. So let's open up our render view, press render and see what happens. Oh, we need to put it to render on our squid, of course. I think it's now still trying to render the rocks. Okay, let's put it to squid. Okie dokie, there we have our squid. A little squiddy boy. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna use a different light for this. I'm not gonna use the sunlight. Let's just use the HDRI. Let's turn it on. Oh, don't turn on this one. Turn on the HDRI. All right. Yeah, that looks fine. All right, so let's start building some materials. Okay, so we probably first want to just enable tessellation on our squid because we are gonna do some displacement. So it's thinking a little bit. Let's enable displacement. Right now it's a little bit like a strawberry creature. Okay, right, so let's go in. So let's do the main. Let's start doing let's first add a base color. Guess something like pinkish or something. Probably not gonna get the exact same look that we did, but because just the colors will be a little bit different. And remember we have subsurface scattering, so we're gonna do some subsurface scattering on this boy. So turn up the subsurface scattering. Maybe add some colors. Oh, what I think I did, by the way, so let me grab my original materials and then I have something to refer back on. So I quickly applied my original material. So that's what it looks like with the same light setup. So you can see it looks quite a bit different in this type of light than in the underwater, because of course now the light is just way different. But yeah, this is this. You can see it has some spots, and also something I did which is not super obvious right now. Maybe if I turn the camera a little bit. Let me do a scene view. So it has a little bit of, let me put it to the IPR instead of bucket rendering. So let's wait for this to update. A bit slow. Okay, so I found something that I need to change. So in the squid, what I did is I had deleted the curve view. Don't want to do that because I'm actually using the curve view in the shader. So make sure you have the curve view still on it. It looks actually pretty disgusting if you look at it like this. All right, so let's see if we now have the curve view. Curve view is there. Should be over here as well. Yes, all right, let's look in the render view. Let's reload. Right, so now you can see what's going on. So you can see there's this little bit of a different color when he's like it gets a little bit bluish. Not so much over here. Maybe I have removed the thing on the top. Let me check. Because what I'm doing in the shader is I am using curve view. So we're going to do ramp. We did it before. Let me just quickly have a look at why it's not doing it on the head. Let's go on the head. So yeah, the curve view here doesn't have the head. That's because we are doing a VDB from it. So over here it does have curve view. So let's transfer this to the thing. If you hadn't done that yet, so let's transfer curve view. So remember what we did? We had the if you forgot about that, we meshed the head. We made a VDB from it. And then when you make a VDB from it, it loses its attributes. So in this case, we want to transfer back the curve view with an attribute transfer. Remember, we've used that a lot before, curve view. So now it will have a curve view attribute. So now we can use that in the shader. So there's a couple of things that we still, as I mentioned, we still needed to change in the once we got back to the shading. There's a couple more things that we still need to do as well. Let's have a look at our squid. Also, I think when I recorded the squid modeling part, so I copied it over from there. I hadn't finalized the shading on the squid yet. All right, so let's have a look what it looks like now. Yeah, so now you can see there's this nice transition. All right, so let's go over how that works. So let's do it, assign our own shader again. So squid main. Maybe let's take a screenshot of this. All right. Squid main. Let's press render. Oh, by the way, what I also did is, because the displacement settings on my original material were quite high, I turned down the displacement scale on the object to 0.01. So then you at least know like what's going on when it starts looking different. All right, so we're back to something that looks a lot less cool. So let's start doing some stuff. All right, let's go in there. All right, so let's do, instead of this regular color, let's do attribute. Let's look up the point attribute. Let's look up curve view. Remember, that's the attribute that we also used for the thickness and stuff, which we still have on here. So because we have that attribute, we can just load it into the shader anywhere we want. So we can do a ramp. I'm just gonna plug it in. And I think I am going to grab my ramp from my original material, because then I don't have to match these colors. Some error. Okay. Okay. So plug it in. Let's plug it into the color. All right. So still don't really see a lot, because I think we also need to plug something. Or like, what did we do in the subsurface? So the subsurface gathering I did set some manual colors there. So let's do that. So let's color pick. So I'm just gonna color pick these colors that I have here. All right. So subsurface scattering. You can see I changed. So the I already mentioned something with the about the scale. So let's put it to point based. It's just faster. Point based doesn't render properly until you render bucket mode, by the way. So you want to occasionally render bucket mode, so you can kind of see what you do. So you can render bucket mode with this thing. Bucket mode is also what the final render is going to be doing. Let's have a little bit more look at what we were doing in our material. So I have a float, I have a slider in my amount, but that doesn't really matter that much in this case. We can just do it manually. Let's increase the radius scale. Remember, if the radius scale is higher, that means the light will pass further through in it. So now it looks more, more gooey. Like if we were to make it super thin, you can see it's more sort of plasticky. So it's the same that we did with the coral, basically. So there's some manual tweaks that I did here. So I did I guess I did these. So you can change. So you have three layers for your subsurface scattering. And you can manually say how far in should they be. So this is scattering a radius of 1 unit, a half unit, and then this one will be 0.25 units. So I hadn't color picked that one yet. Let's color pick that one as well. Let's do 0.25 and 0.3. Okay, started to look a little bit more interesting already. I'm not seeing the color yet, so the color ramp. So let's see what's going on there. So I'm using a color correct here. I'm gonna go quickly just copy over these nodes so we can have a look at what's going on inside this other shader. So then I don't have to go back and forth. So let's just copy and paste this in. Let's just plug this in and see what it does. Okay, so something is not working with our curve view attribute for some reason. So let's investigate. Okay, so I'm not sure what happened, but it's working now. I didn't really change anything, but the ramp is here. So again, with this ramp color, we can just change the ramp color if we want to go for a different look. So this way you could make it sort of red, but I kind of like this sort of purpley type thing. All right, so let's do some more stuff on it. All right, so another thing that I did is I wanted some inset color around these eyes. So what we need to do for that, so I think I already have it on my model here, but I'm gonna just show you what I did. Is if we go in your squid model, go in here. So remember that we did these insets for the eyes, right? With the color. Well, we kind of want to, and then we sort of deleted that, so it would be gray. Well, what we kind of want to do is we want to make sure that we still have it on there. So we want to transfer a separate attribute, maybe call it inset. So make a wrangle or an attribute create, lock it to the points that generated your eyes. So we have some points here. Then I'm creating an attribute called inset. So flow f at inset equals 1. You can also do an attribute create swap and just do it like that. Then another one over here. And by the way, I wouldn't even have needed, I think, this transfer here, but this would give me some extra controls. So anyway, so you need to sort of stay up if at inset equals 0. So then we have something to blend with. So this one will be 0, this one will be 1. Then we're transferring an attribute called inset to our squid. So if I make a color now, you can see that will be the inset. And I did it separately, so I had some more control over. But like then I could make this this ramp a little bit wider than the original color was. Because the original color, as you can see, was not as wide. Right. So then we have this, when we go down here, we have this attribute called inset. Then we can use that attribute called inset to do some stuff in the shader. So let's do that. So let's go into our shader again. And let's blend something in. So let's just move all this stuff over to the side. So we did this before, right? We used a vector mix before. Let's do that. Vector mix. No, not math invert vector, just vector mix. Keep putting down the wrong thing. All right. So then do a absolute color. Color absolute. Plug it in there. So that means we're gonna mix from this colored ramp with this based on something. So we're gonna put the attribute in there later. But let's first just give this a color, maybe like reddish or something. All right. And now let's do an attribute. Point attribute. It's a scalar and it's called inset. Oh, and I used a power again. Well, I'll show you what that does in a bit. All right, so let's just have a look. So let's go to this and let's press render. It's gonna finger a little bit again, because remember it needs to subdivide all this stuff at render time. All right, so now you can see what happens. So it gets this sort of colored stuff around his eyes, which I kind of liked. Maybe this is a little bit too red, but we could change it. So in the original thing, there's this power, which basically tells it how fast it should sort of ramp up. So we have this fall off, and it can sort of change the ramp to be sort of more ramp up quicker, ramp up slower, sort of. Power. So let's put a pow. Let's have a look what it's going to do. Let's put it to so you can see if I put it to red, if I put it to 0, oh no, I don't want to put it negative, but if I put it to 0, it will be like this. And if I increase it, it will sort of eat inwards. So we have some control over how it looks. I guess something like this is sort of nice. Right, so what I also ended up doing here is I did some mixing stuff. We don't necessarily need to do the mixing, but we can do some color correcting to sort of give him some more colors, and then start adding some displacement. Let's do a color correct. Put a color correct in here, so the color. And remember, with the color correct, you can do something like the hue shift, so you could like make him green if you want, or so that immediately gives it, yeah, it's just interesting to have a look. So this also looks kind of cool. But again, probably we don't want to do that on the whole thing. We could do it with a noise to give him like sort of colored splotches. So I'm gonna do the maximum noise again. But again, you could also use the regular noise. So just the regular noise like that. So just to have a preview what the color looks like, of the noise looks like, just plug it into color. Right, so we can have a look. And let's look for one. So something that's sort of, I don't really know all these presets by heart. So I also always just go through it, just have a look at what would sort of look good. Let's see which one I used before. I used dense. No, changed it. So apparently I just used this one. Let's make it bigger. Yes, something like that maybe. Let's plug the color back in. Let's put the dense into the hue. Let's do a fit range. Change range in Redshift. Right, so let's just increase it a little bit. Oh, 20, there we go. So you can see for some reason it's not updating anymore. So let's press render again. But you can see it now gets these sort of discolored splotches, which I kind of like. But again, you can also make it different, make it look different if you want. It's your squid now, so do whatever you want to do. Right, so now you can see it gets these nice sort of splotchy type things. Okay, so I did a couple of things here, but I think the general thing is now only that remains is we want to maybe do some displacement on him. Because right now he's sort of, well, super flat. So we want to add some details. Let's add a displacement. And use a noise. Use triplanar. Not that one. Oh, we want to probably also add some more AOVs to our squid thing. So we can also preview the subsurface scattering and stuff. We're going to add a custom AOV in a bit as well. Well, at least we're going to do that with the for the final compositing and stuff. Right. Subsurface scattering. Where are you? Where are you? Subsurface scattering. There it is. Okay. All right. Go back into our material. Let's remove this thing. All right. So let's add some. Add some displacement. So let's do a noise. Oh, we already have a maximum noise plugged in, by the way. I'm going to increase my displacement scale a little bit over here. And we'll just make it smaller in the shader, maybe. Okay. Always these startup times are always quite annoying. Okay, yeah, that's super extreme. Let's okay, so let's now turn it down a little bit on the object again. 0.1. At least we can see that it works. Sort of like a fuzzy thing now. Okay, so something like this will be cool, I guess. Let's do a render region. Okay, so this adds some stuff. So we probably don't want, so we want some detail here. Probably don't want it as much on the legs, on the tentacles. So let's set some attributes for this. So let's go into the squid that we had. So in the original model. So you see I already have it set because this was the thing I had. So we have this, I made this attribute here called displacement scale. So let's have a look. Let's put it to the second view. So this one is set to 0.5. I guess we could set this even lower, maybe 0.25. So on the legs. So on the legs, I'm doing it by the curve view. So it will be 1 over here and then 0 over there. Maybe you want to be that a little bit less, so maybe 0.5 and then 0. So displacement scale on the head here should be 1, because we want the head to be very displaced, and the eyes will not have it at all because we don't want them to be displaced. So we have this attribute called displacement scale. So again, kind of the point of this is that you can how you can use just attributes, not just to mess with your geometry, but also to mess with your shaders. Right, so okay, so let's go back into our thing and let's load that material in there of that attribute. That's what's called displacement underscore scale. Right, there we go. So we can, now that we have this loaded, we can plug this into the scale. So that's why I set the overall scale on the object. You could also put a multiplier, of course, in between here, or you could multiply this attribute by another attribute. It just works basically the same as it would be in VOPs. Right, so let's press render. Let's have a look. Okay, so this doesn't seem to do anything. So let's see if I actually have copied, if I actually typed the attribute name correct. So I'm gonna maybe just copy it over from here. Let's just reload. Let's see what it does now. Yeah, okay, so I guess I just had it mistyped. Okay, so probably a little too extreme. Let's go on our squid. Let's decrease the amount here. Maybe we want to make go on the main material, maybe change something with the reflection and roughness. Maybe let's increase the roughness a little bit and change and decrease the reflection in general. Maybe not as rough. All right, so let's have a look. Yeah, this looks pretty okay. Like we could change the parameters from the noise. We could change some noise types. We could let's change the scale maybe. So I think what I did originally was I mixed a couple of noises together. So you could vector mix a couple of noises together, but I'll leave that up to you if you want to keep tweaking that. Maybe we'll make it even smaller. Again, you can just look into the into the final shading file. If you're in the highest Patreon tier, you can download the entire last final scene file and you can look into all of the materials. I do notice that if I'm recording these tutorials, I tend to work a little bit cleaner than when I'm actually doing. Because right now I'm doing it for a second time, of course, and if I'm doing it for the second time, then you generally like leave behind some stuff that you did before that actually didn't make that much of a difference. Right, so let's just have a look one more time, and then let's add in the knobs, and then let's do the eyes, and then we're done with the squid. It always takes the time to build the scene. So yeah, well, you probably still need to play with the scale a little bit, but in general, pretty nice. So let's move along with the knobs.